Today I want to talk to you about a struggle that is real. Let's talk about a subject today that I really feel like is one of the top things for homeschool parents to do, and for a lot of families it can be a struggle, and that is read-alouds. My name is Rachel. Welcome to Learning with Boys. I do have 4 boys. I have graduated 2, and this coming school year I will have a 6th grader and an 11th grader. And I just want to talk about when it is hard. And I am all about read-alouds, and I really started reading to my boys, doing the whole read-aloud thing before I knew it was a thing. But when my oldest were younger, and I will tell you my oldest will be 21 at the end of the summer, so it's been a long time ago. That is what, you normally do with your younger children, your toddlers. But as they get older, we started picking up bigger books and reading. But I want to mention a period in my life where this became really, really difficult and what we did instead. And I will also mention that we probably did a little bit of it before the circumstance happened, but I feel like it really opened a whole new world for me of opportunity after. And I want to share it with you because I feel like you could still have that bond, that family relationship, even if you, as the parent, are not reading. When my second was 6 and my oldest would have been 8, he was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes in May. I have always had somewhat of back trouble. It actually got better after I had kids, but I have always struggled with TMJ. And after I found that out, I guess it was just the stress of it, handling it. I'm not one to express everything, believe it or not. So here I am on YouTube telling you all about it. But at the time, I didn't really talk about it. It was just, I think I was just trying to know how to deal with this situation that my child was going through, how I could help him, and how nobody else would ever really understand. Well, I pretty much got lockjaw within a couple weeks. And I've had TMJ for quite a few years, but I never had that experience before. Like, I would be hungry and want to eat and realize I can't open my mouth to even take a bite. So it was time to find a chiropractor and get back into that. So unfortunately, not only was I dealing with that summer, but also my kids were having to ride back and forth several times to a chiropractor to help this mama get straightened out a little bit. So we did a lot of audiobooks, and it was really a good opportunity. The heat of the summer, you have little ones. Yes, we had to travel, and it was probably a good 25 minutes away. Probably at least twice a week, if not more. I really needed to get back to normal, and I was actually taking my one that had diabetes just to see, to help him in any way. He was also not as much, but he was with me. And I had all my boys. I don't live near family, so they were all with me, and that would be our listening time to audiobooks. Now, sometimes we would have a different book in the house, or if we just couldn't stand it, when we got home, we would sit for a few minutes until the chapter was done in the vehicle and then have to bring it inside to finish it. But since that discovery, really, audiobooks have been a huge part of our life. I do still read aloud. Actually, at the end of the summer, I found out I was expecting our 4th. So then it was sickness, and my iron was low, and then having a baby. I know many of you have been through so much more than that. So this is why I'm sharing it, and also sharing that, if you have to choose another way to enjoy a book with your kids, it doesn't have to be you reading it. It is fun. I know my youngest is like, but I like when you read it, Mom. And I appreciate that, but he also enjoys if I'm just sitting there and we're all listening to a book. So this past year, my high schooler, who is not my reader, had some literature books he needed to read. And he had the book, but I found them on Audible. So he would sit down at the kitchen table and he was supposed to like maybe sometimes outline or do different things because it was literature, and he had some notes he was supposed to do. So he was sort of looking at that, but also would follow along while he listened to it off my phone on Audible. Well, we all enjoyed it. Even my 10-year-old at the time would want to know when the book was starting. And it really is fun to be able to have that bonding time together and all enjoying the same story and just being able to talk about it, especially with a high schooler, it's a little bit more in depth and what you're discussing. But I did want to tell you, I'm just going to go through some books that we have personally listened to on audio. And I might even give it a little star if it was one of our favorite. And some of these we have actually read, or my boys have read again later. And so I am going to go through, and I'm going to sort of start to my best of my ability, like age appropriate, from youngest all the way to a few in high school. And some of these are series. Like the first one is the Boxcar Children. Now, we didn't listen to all of them. We listened to the ones that we could personally find at the library. Now, you have to remember this was 12 years ago that we would have probably been listening to this particular series. I don't even think Audible was around at the time. So a lot of this was books that was found on audio at our library. But they do have something from the library where you can download the books online now and listen to them. They also have Audible. And another link that I have used several times over the years is LibriVox, and I'll put that word right here. And a lot of times you can look them up and type in the book to see, especially if it's an older book. Like I listened to a book this past spring. I think I could not find it on Audible, but they had it on LibriVox, and LibriVox is free. So if you can find the book on there, that's really good too. So the Boxcar Children, Family Under the Bridge, The Railroad Children. Now, I feel like a lot of people I know have seen the movie, but the book is really, really good. Charlotte's Web, The Door in the Wall. That is one of our favorite. We have listened to that on audio, which we really enjoyed it. I'm trying to think if I've actually read that one aloud. I don't think I have. I just always enjoyed it on the audio. Sometimes the reader with the accent really just emphasizes the story so much more. Cricket in Times Square. Now, that is a really fun book and really just for younger children. I mean, that summer might have been the summer we listened to that one. And I enjoyed it. Okay. One that we really enjoyed, and I feel like we only listened to one time, and it was 5 Little Peppers and How They Grow. And that's a really good book. It is about a family, 5 children, and just their adventures. I feel like it was a really long book, and I think I may have actually got the book, and there were so many characters. And at the time, I just was a little overwhelmed about reading it, so I found it on audio, and we all enjoyed it together. So I just am trying to let you know that don't expect that you're going to be able to sit down and read every single book. It may be that your kids are sitting down coloring while you're doing the dishes and you're all listening to the audiobook. There's just different stages in life where we can make these particular things like read-alouds work. We just maybe have to think outside the box. Snow Treasures is a really good one, and 20 and 10, and they're a little bit similar, historical fiction ones. Of course, Little House on the Prairie. We listened to all of those up to, I don't know, maybe the 3rd or 4th one. And then we also listened to Farmer Boy. Now, Farmer Boy, my boys have all listened to, and I think they've all read themselves. Black Beauty, that was really good and sad to listen to on audio. The Incredible Journey. I feel like I skipped around. Oh, yes, I did. Misty of Chincoteague. Now, some people have not heard of that. I'm actually a little bit not far from that area, and I've actually been to Chincoteague, and it's about the crossing of wild ponies from an island to inland, and it's in Virginia, to Assateague. So it's probably like a historical fiction. So They do have a crossing, and it's usually in July. So, and I'm not sure if they still do it. I know when I was younger they did, and I always wanted to see it, but I had been there, just not during that time. So, but it is a very good story about a brother and a sister trying to raise money to buy one of those ponies. And they do have a movie. A lot of these books, it's fun if you listen to it and then take the opportunity to watch the movie. Okay, Rascal. And I actually posted that on my Instagram. If you're not over on my Instagram, check me out over there. I'd love for you to join me. I do share different things that I don't always mention here. And we have seen the movie. We have listened to the book when my older boys were younger, and I actually found the book used, and my youngest actually read it himself. But we did listen to it on audio as a family. The Courage of Sarah Noble, that's a younger book, but there's also Caddie Woodlawn. Now, yes, that is one of our favorites, and just a really good book. Definitely like, around 10, 8, 9, 10, I think, boy or girl, because she had brothers, so would enjoy that book. Sign of the Beaver, that's one of our family favorites. We have listened to it. I have read that book. They have read it. Just a family favorite book there. All right, Carry On, Mr. Bowditch. Now, I actually have that one, but I would think that you could get it on Audible and maybe even LibriVox. But that was such a good book. I feel like we may have listened to that summer, because I remember my oldest being much younger, but it may have been a couple summers. Like, he may have been 10, because that would have been a good age for that book. Across 5 Aprils, and By the Great Hornspoon. Now, I'm mentioning these two, but I think I read these books, but they would be good books for Audibles. So, Old Yeller, you gotta listen to Old Yeller. And of course, you probably should watch the movie later. Okay. Did I mention The Incredible Journey? I want to mention that one. Now, my youngest hasn't heard that book, but he's seen it somewhere recently, and he was like, Mom, I want to get this book. And I sort of forgot about it. It was actually into summer, so it was really just like a month ago. So I need to get that book for him, but he will probably read it himself. But it would be fun to listen to. So I don't know. Okay, The Bronze Bow. That is one of our favorites. We have done Audible, and we have read that book. That is one of those books that it is a little bit older. I feel for like comprehension, you definitely want 7th, 8th. I think my third one read it last year in 9th grade, but I'm pretty sure he would have followed along in the book and listened to it. So, but we've all been through that book, so that's a really good book. Under the Hawthorn Tree. That one I actually read, but I want to mention it because I feel like it's such a good book. It would really be, just the storyline would make a great Audible family listen to. Swiss Family Robinson. Little Women, that would just be a fun book. Number the Stars. Men of Iron. I'm mentioning that one because, and that's more like high school, along with the other two, Little Women and Number the Stars. Of course, Little Women you could probably do a little bit younger. It's a long book. And Men of Iron, my third son listened to it in his 9th grade year. And so I do want to mention that one. And then Rifles for Waite is actually a book we listened to. My son had it for one of his literature reads this school year. So that was a perfect opportunity for all of us, which is right now just my 3rd and 4th. So I just wanted to share these thoughts and ideas with you. I'll try to list these books below if you are looking for ideas. I do want to mention that I also actually have a video about read-alouds, and I will link that, but I also have one about listening to audiobooks, but also like drama stories. And that was a big part of our life too, especially traveling. We would pick something that was sort of long, and I could go on a whole nother list with that, but I'll link that video below. So I do want to encourage you, if you like homeschool content, you would subscribe. And if this video was encouraging at all, that you would give it a thumbs up. That would encourage me so much. So, all right. I do want to mention that a lot of the books, when they were younger. Where did I even come up with these ideas? I didn't grow up reading a lot, but I actually used just homeschool magazines. Sunlight. I also used Verita Press. I don't have that one in front of me, but also Heart of Dakota, which is the curriculum we have. They have a whole reading program that I didn't really follow at the time, but I would pull books, and both of these, I've never used Sunlight, but they have a lot of books that I have used and would start there just to figure out what I wanted to read. And a lot of them I would like, oh yeah, I'm familiar with that story. And then that would help me decide on which ones I wanted to choose. So, all right, I appreciate you all watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.